Hey, what is going on YouTube? Aaron here. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. And guys, in today's video, we have a truly epic replay for you guys in the Z-52, the newest legendary tier destroyer to come to World of Warships Legends. And guys, without a doubt, this is by far the best destroyer that is now available in the game. Her hydro coupled with her guns, her asset of smoke, engine boost, and torpedoes, this ship is a threat to every destroyer, most battleships, and even some cruisers, as a few of them will find out in this game. As always though, everyone's stats, commander guide, modifications, and everything you need to know about this ship are at the end of the video. I will try and timestamp it for you. But if you guys actually, I don't know if the scoreboard came up yet, but we do have a few familiar faces in this game. Not only in my division, but also on the enemy team as well. We have Spartan Elite 43 in another Z-52. And yeah, this was just a really fun game, but also it perfectly epitomizes update day in a nutshell. But let's go ahead and get into the game and the strengths and sort of weaknesses of the Z-52. As you guys can see here as I pull the Super Unicum beaching maneuver, the Z-52 is going to be one of the best cap contesters in the game. As we mentioned, you have a 5.9 sonar, which, as you guys can see, coupled with our 5.3 concealment, means we can stealth sonar. So if you get detected, you pop your sonar, whatever is detecting you, pending that you haven't shot your guns, will be detected. We have abused so many destroyers who just, one, they probably don't know it yet because this ship is just recently has become available in the Bureau. And if you guys did not know, I've said it in my previous video in the Vermont, Wargaming gives all of the community contributors these new ships to showcase, I guess, for the next 2 weeks. So if you do happen to come across one in battle, be wary of that insane hydro. But something you can use to counter the Z-52 is kind of pushing it, such as this Yoshino does in this situation. However, we have done kind of our coveted J-hook turn into the capture point here, and that will allow us to escape a lot quicker than we would if we were sort of, directly facing head on into the cap. As we can see from the torpedo tracker though, this Yoshino is dead set on trying to get us or contest this cap at the very least, so we're going to launch a set of torpedoes where we predict he will be. And I don't know what it is about the German destroyers, especially this boat, but I feel like I am just hitting so many more torpedoes than I normally do. I don't know if it is the moderate speed or the decent reload. Neither the damage nor the speed nor the reload of these torpedoes is the best in any category, but it is just good overall. This line of ships specifically, as well as the British destroyers, are sort of the jack of all trade destroyers, meaning, one particular trait isn't very strong, but none of their traits are particularly very weak, with potentially the exception of your maneuverability. You do have a pretty decent turning circle there, which we have mentioned, and we will go over at the end of the video. But thanks to a little bit of focus fire from our team there, that Yoshino has been eliminated, but thanks to the efforts of Spartan and a few of the other players, the other side of our team has already lost 2 ships. Now, of course, it was update day, so we know that the potatoes come out in full force today and probably this following week in what feels like the last 2 years. But if you are finding yourself dying in the first 2 to 3 minutes of a game, especially in a battleship at legendary tier, you have got to take a step back and reevaluate your strategy. That, or potentially switch to AI so you are not affecting 8 other players who are trying to enjoy this game. But speaking of those who are no longer with us in this game, at this point I decided that it was best for me to head to the other side. Why? Well, there are 2 destroyers on that flank, as well as a few other ships, which I can either torpedo, harass with guns, or just try and push off of that capture objective in order to give our team somewhat of an advantage. The destroyer class in World of Warships Legends is probably the most scrutinized class, but it is also one of the most difficult classes to play well. There are a certain few players who play destroyers, mainly Japanese destroyer players who max out their concealment and torpedo from, 9+ kilometers away. They end up avoiding all capture objectives and doing anything useful for their team, and while that may work in a certain set of circumstances, when you're going against even 1 or 2 players who know what they're doing and know how to counter that, you are basically just automatically losing the game for your team. Now, of course, it is a free-to-play game. You can play however you so choose, but if you kind of play by this set of principles, you know, trying to get the capture objectives and work for your team, you actually end up with better games, and that is exactly what happened here. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, for me to smoke up in this situation, it was a little bit of a waste. I thought those ships were going to be spotted, but regardless of whether or not those ships would have been spotted continuously, we need to work our way over to the east side of the map. So I just decided to throw a few sets of torpedoes. We actually got a beautiful 3 on that Conqueror there. He is damage con down. Unfortunately, the Agir with a rather strong Hydro is also working his way towards us. We could shoot in this situation, but a Conqueror, another battleship, and another cruiser there would probably take half of my health all within one salvo. So talking about the key principles of playing destroyers is knowing when to show them and knowing when to hold them. In this situation, it was definitely the better play to hold them. And of course, what we mean by that is not shoot at the Conqueror here. We do know that he is damage con down, but is half of my health worth risking, you know, 20,000 points worth of his damage because we can set a permanent fire? Definitely not, as we give our team the coveted good job, because we are now down 4 ships to 1. And it was at this point at which I thought we were going to have the YouTuber showdown. As you can see, our twist and track did change towards a closer location there on the right, with the located symbol that did appear on our screen. But unfortunately, I think it was the Des Moines Spartan did the smart thing for his team and actually pushed back to their weak side while his team pushed through on our weak side. So just a little pro tip for those of you guys looking to improve: go where your team is not. And for example, our majority of our team is not in this location. We are defending the weak side, and that is actually exactly what we just mentioned what Spartan did. Our team is pushing through on the south side there, and instead of following the mass of his team, he went back to defend the Delta Cap as well as throw torpedoes on any applicable targets. Now you may be looking at the scoreboard and thinking, Aaron, why are we still watching this game? Is this just you trying to farm a few extra XP points or damage towards the end of the game? And while I do have a 245,000 damage replay for you guys, it is not this game, because we actually have a massive comeback that is about to start. But not before the Des Moines gets us on his radar. But for whatever reason, he was looking at the Charlie Cap. I have no idea why you would pop radar and then not turn your guns towards me, but I'm glad that he didn't. As you can see, this Colbert and the Des Moines start to lob me. Just another little pro tip: if you are a radar cruiser and you pop your radar, be ready to shoot at the destroyers especially, because as you can see here, with just a little bit of dodging, we only take about 2,000 HP worth of damage. So his radar, even if he is running fully packed, was nearly completely wasted. So I just see a lot of radar cruisers kind of aimlessly popping their radar just because they're scared, or I don't know the reason, but maybe he was just trying to push us away and he thought that he was going to get this victory because of, you can see the score, it's an 8-on-4 and we're down nearly 400 points. However, I still have shells in my barrels and torpedoes in my tubes, and we're not going down without a fight. A huge kill there from Bravo is going to, draw those points just a little bit closer. We're trying to throw out torpedoes here, and I really want to shoot. However, it is going to give away my position, and with 2 cruisers with insane DPM right there, all it's going to do is, just cause me to lose unnecessary health. So we're going to try and connect a few torpedoes, see if we can isolate our engagements, and that is when our twist and track changes to the north side of this island here, and it looks like we've caught a Shima in between us. And here is the brown pants moment that a lot of destroyers are going to experience when they go against this ship. The Hydro is just very strong. He smokes up, but it doesn't matter. We did have our smoke back just in case, but he actually smokes up, which allows us to go concealed. We connect a few torpedoes on that Colbert in the meantime. So yeah, we, in a few different salvos and different plays, have made this game a lot closer than it ever should have been. Just a note to the enemy team, and Spartan actually joined our party afterwards and said the same thing. If you have such mass advantages, do not chase the enemy into position, and certainly do not turn broadside to German AP in a light cruiser. I have no idea what this Colbert was doing. He might have been focused on the Alaska or another battleship further in the sea cap, but we connect a few citadels, we connect another penetration, and that was nearly a double strike, eliminating that Shima and that Colbert, and now this game doesn't seem so far out of reach. You couple that with the fact that we have preserved most of our health by making a few smart decisions, and we now have a chance against one of the strongest cruisers in the game. Unfortunately for us, I don't really have too many options left. I have to rush this Des Moines, but you can see that our Alaska, which is still in the sea cap, is peppering him. Even if it's 1 and 2 overpens, he is still doing just enough to allow me a chance at this gunfight. Now, I said it in the moment, if this Des Moines was sort of paying attention, he definitely knows I'm here. 1, because he's probably on my hydro if he's not surface detected, and 2, because I am now in the objective, which is going to show it as being contested here. And that is when I round the corner and there is a Conqueror. Fortunately for me, the Conqueror took a little bit more damage, and between the two ships, there is only about 10,000 HP left. So we're just going to push in here. This Des Moines is still focused on this Alaska for whatever reason. We pop a few shells into him. The Conqueror lights us on fire with a salvo. I'm actually not sure if that was a Conqueror. It had to have been, because there's no other ships there and the Des Moines was facing the other way. But we get the double fire on the Conqueror, and with a beautiful set of torps, we actually miss another double strike. And yeah, this game is now 20 points from being tied. I couldn't believe the mass throw from the enemy, but also the plays that we had to make in order to, sort of put them in this throw position. At this point, I'm deciding, okay, the Shima seems to know what he's doing. Our Alaska pops his radar just to, I guess, to make sure Spartan was not near the cap, because we need 20 points. Now, how we get those 20 points is we have to make a decision. We look at this Ohio, he is far too healthy for us to really get, sort of a DPM or even a torpedo kill on. He's too far away. Bravo did say that the other Yamato was very low, but we decide that just simply going to the Bravo cap here is going to stop the Reds' influx, and if we have enough time to secure it, it is going to make sure that we get this victory. By peeking at the minimap every now and then and, looking at the points and sort of understanding the game in its simplest form, you are not only going to have more fun, but you are going to be doing better at the same time. Now, of course, you can play however you want. Some people love to YOLO in, but I always look at this game like I do pickup sports. We'll use pickup basketball as sort of my famous analogy. You wouldn't go to your local YMCA and start kicking the basketball. You would be asked to leave, and that is what I feel like some people were doing yesterday on update day. They were just YOLO rushing in without any clue in the world, and that's fine. It's a video game. I've already moved on from it. But you are affecting 8 other people, so if we could all as a community sort of have this basic understanding, it's like, hey, you support me, I'll support you, etc., then I think that the gameplay experience overall would be a lot better. But anywho, we are working our way into the Bravo cap here. Speaking of Bravo, Mr. Bravo Foxtrot in the Colombo out there is avoiding as many Spartan torpedoes as he can. And a huge shout out to our Alaska for sort of remaining in the Charlie cap, preventing that from being flipped the other way, and giving me and the Shima an opportunity to win the game. And that is just another point that I want to talk about. Sometimes you will not be in a position to win the game, but by putting yourself out of position, for example, if this Alaska would have went out and, gotten himself killed, it would not have allowed me the opportunity to even come back and win this game. But that is when we detect the Yamato, we lob a few shells over the island, we connect them, we get kill number 5 for the Kraken Unleashed. And with that kill and us contesting this cap, we have now ticked the points in our favor, and we are going to win this game. I actually almost throw, not getting the cap, but I almost miss getting the cap here. I'm like, oh no, don't don't leave it. I wasn't necessarily concerned about this Ohio, killing me, but I just wanted to make sure that we get the cap to, in all circumstances, secure the win. But the Ohio took a few other salvos. We're going to go ahead and just throw shells out anyway, and we actually secure the coveted 6-pack for a massive comeback victory. So a huge GG to everyone involved. Not too much damage, but we did damage to so many different targets. I'm actually shocked that I didn't get a Confederate, but yeah, a 38 348 XP there score with a huge second place from Bravo. And then the Alaskan, of course, Doc there helping out our team in a massive way. And of course, a GG's to Spartan. His score is definitely not reflective of the moves he made. Sometimes you can do everything right and your team is just going to single file, throw themselves at you. But regardless, let's go ahead and review the stats commander guide and all of the aspects of this ship. Here we have the beautiful Z-52 with our modifications being aiming system mod 1, propulsion in slot 2 there, concealment of course, and the legendary reload in slot 4. I'm going to experiment with the torpedo reload. I think the guns are good on their own, but with how strong that hydro is pushing in against destroyers, yeah. The survivability, you saw it on screen. Now, this is, of course, with Sims in our build is 24,000 there. The artillery 3x2, 128s with a 3.1 reload, and that is with Mordoff, so we're cutting into that reload, as well as the reload mod in slot 4 is definitely going to increase that time as well. The torpedoes, as we mentioned, 85-second reload, 15,000 max damage with a 10.5 kilometer range and a 71 knot speed. The torpedoes aren't, going to be dev striking too many things. However, they are just very good and very consistent. The AA is actually decent for a German destroyer. However, it's not the best. It's definitely mid at 60 there. Maneuverability is decent. It's not amazing, but it's also not bad. You have a decent top speed, a slower rudder shift there, and a larger turning circle. But if you can kind of think about where you need to be, it's definitely not the worst in terms of destroyers. Concealment with concealment mod there, Eric Bay. And Look at Me Now is down to 5.3, so a pretty decent concealment. Here is your armor, your destroyer, and there is the overview with tough, superior HE pen. The Germans, of course, have quarter pen and the extended sonar. Yeah, that thing is, it's going to surprise a lot of players. And of course, the final thing for this video is showing you the one and only Mr. Eric Bay with probably the best overall commander, just with its traits and everything. Observant Rage there, Look at Me Now. We actually run Twist and Track instead of Perceptive to increase that turret traverse. The turret traverse on the German destroyers is just a tad slower than I would like it to be. And here is actually something I was contemplating using. However, you do have to give up Look at Me Now, but Listen Closely gives you 2 more sonar charges at a decreased of 15% duration. Now, on the other German destroyers, it's not that useful because their duration is not that long. However, you get a 2-minute duration. So if you were to add 2 more, you would get, what, a minute 45, minute 30 duration, but you would get 4 of them. So definitely a build or a perk worth investing. But regardless, that is the build we were running for that game. And there is the beautiful Z-52. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Comment, like, subscribe, all the good stuff for the YouTube algorithm. Aaron out. Peace.